Zayn spends millions to buy a stunning garden and hires a top-tier orchestra to propose to Sarah. For once, this usually dominant man, Shilly, escorts Sarah to a candlelit dinner and proposes sincerely. Sarah is enchanted, yet hesitant. Her feelings, as a single mom, weigh on her. Zayn hopes for her to say yes on the spot, but when he sees her conflicted expression, he lets her off the hook, giving her time to think. What a considerate man. Sarah's heart softens even more for him. The next day, Zayn tells his mother, Samaya, about the proposal. Rarely, Samaya says she won't interfere with his relationship anymore. She doesn't want to alienate her only son, so she's willing to respect his choice and accept Sarah. Unbeknownst to them, a calculating scheme against Sarah is already in motion. On this night, Samaya hosts a charity auction and specifically invites Sarah and her son Ibrahim to attend. Zayn donates a rare $1 million antique heirloom for bidding. All proceeds from the auction will go entirely toward helping underprivileged children afford medical treatment. Sarah is overjoyed. Once she'd sold her dignity to Zayn just to scrape together her son's surgery costs, but now he was pouring out his resources for her sake. On the contrary, Samaya intends to use public opinion to destroy Sarah completely. She publicly announces Zayn and Sarah's engagement at the event. The crowd is quick to seize on their disparity in status. Sarah is a widowed single mother with a young son, while Zayn comes from an influential family. Journalists swarmed them immediately. Zayn escorted Sarah out of the room and then went to blame his mother. Sarah hasn't even agreed yet. This is just embarrassing her. Though Samaya pretends it's all out of love to make him happy. Zayn sees right through her manipulation. He's utterly disillusioned with his mother. On the other side, Sarah's son is deeply traumatized, fearing his mother will abandon him if she marries someone else. Sarah has no choice but to promise that she won't get married if he doesn't agree. But this doesn't ease Ibrahim's anxiety. The next day, Ibrahim insists on pestering Sarah to take him to his grandparents' house. There, he asks his grandfather about his late father. Grandfather shares stories patiently and gives the boy photos of his deceased son. Sarah is comforting the pregnant Noor. Your husband's affair isn't your fault. Don't torture yourself or the baby because of him. Sarah draws from her own experience as a single mom to assure Noor that she can raise the child well, even if she has to do it alone. However, a rift has already formed between her and her own child. As they leave, Ibrahim asks his grandparents when Mommy gets married, "Can I move in with you?" The room instantly freezes in awkward tension. Sarah sends the man to take Ibrahim for juice, then explains to her in-laws. Zayn did propose, but she hasn't accepted. She'd never abandon her son. The mother-in-law thinks very highly of Zayn. She saw firsthand how reliable he is when he arranged her husband's post-surgery care at the hospital. She urges Sarah to follow her heart, reminding her that it's been years since her husband passed. There's no need to suffer alone. Father-in-law says little, but inwardly worries this will affect his grandson. When Sarah returns home, Zayn is waiting for them. He warmly greets Ibrahim, but the boy glares at him with hostility, yanking Sarah into her room. Ibrahim hangs a photo of his father on the wall and tells his mother, "Daddy is always watching over you, staying with us." These innocent words weigh heavily on Sarah's heart. She doesn't know how to confront her feelings for Zayn. Zayn apologizes, swearing he'll shield her from his mother's cruelty. From now on, Sarah says it's not just his mother's fault. There are still too many obstacles between them. Her words are a quiet rejection. Zayn panics, begging her to give him another chance. He brings up her son specifically, insisting the boy needs a father in his life, not just a mother. He swears he'll protect her child with his last breath if needed. Zayn's heartfelt promise reignites Sarah's faith in them. Under pressure from Zayn, Samaya reluctantly lowers her head and apologizes to Sarah. Just as the scandal finally dies down, Sarah's friendship hits a rough patch. Tima accuses Sarah of lying by hiding the engagement news. Sarah struggles to explain her relationship, unwilling to reveal the humiliating one-night stand that started it all. In fact, Tima's anger isn't just because Sarah kept it a secret. It turns out that Karam was very jealous when he learned that Zayn had proposed to Sarah. To distract himself, he invited Sarah's friend, Tima, to a yacht dinner, unaware that Tima has long harbored a crush on him. Clouded by champagne haze, the two were swept into a moment of intoxication and shared a kiss. Though nothing more happened, Tima took it as the spark of true love. But Karam's subsequent behavior shattered her heart. He avoided Tima relentlessly, ignoring her calls and texts. After a while, Sarah senses her friend's sadness and asks her what happened. Tima doesn't hold back, immediately confiding her secret. She doesn't understand why Karam is so cold towards her. Sarah confronts Karam, begging him not to hurt her friend. Looking at the woman he loves, Karam feels deeply conflicted. He admits he doesn't love Tima and apologizes for leading her on, but he's too afraid to confess his feelings for Sarah, fearing it would ruin both their friendships. He apologizes to Tima, saying she's a good girl and he's not good enough for her. It was all his fault. He used her to relieve his boredom. They have to stop before more damage is done. Thus, Tima's fledgling romance is nipped in the bud. Clearly, Karam's love lacks the unwavering loyalty that defines Zain's. Despite his hectic schedule, the first thing Zain does each morning is call Sarah to invite her to breakfast. Unexpectedly, a car suddenly drives up to him and a gunman takes aim. Zain hits the ground in agony. The attacker fires multiple shots, leaving Zain unconscious before he can glimpse his face. Miraculously, passers-by finds him in time and takes him to the hospital. News of the shooting spreads and everyone races to the hospital in a panic. Thankfully, the bullets missed his vital organs, striking only his shoulder. Zain is out of danger, but doctors cannot predict when he will wake. Relieved, but anxious, the group begins to piece together what happened. Police reviewing surveillance. Footage confirmed the gunman fired 3 shots using a fake license plate. It's a clear evidence of a premeditated murder attempt. Upon hearing that, images of Nasser's smug face flashed through Karam's mind. A few weeks ago, the scaffolding at a construction site collapsed, leaving 1 person critically injured and 5 others hurt. As a leading constructor, Zain's firm has been thrust into the media spotlight, facing a storm of criticism. During the investigation, a worker confessed to sabotaging the scaffolding after taking bribes from a supplier. Unable to locate the supplier, Zain and Karam confronted his boss Nasser. However, they only got half of it right. Nasser had indeed instructed the supplier to find ways to destroy Zain's company, but murder was never part of the playbook. Dissatisfied with the supplier's harmful actions and blaming him for drawing conflict onto himself, Nasser severely reprimanded the supplier. Humiliated, the supplier sought revenge against Nasser. By attacking Zain, he aimed to drag Nasser into a police investigation, threatening to expose all of Nasser's illegal orders if apprehended. Upon learning of Zain's shooting, Nasser felt the cold grip of betrayal. He'd been baited into the supplier's web. Their decades-long partnership crumbled in an instant. When Karam storms into Nasser's office, the latter deflects blame onto the supplier, claiming innocence. But Karam isn't a fool. He doesn't buy Nazar's excuses for a second. After all, Nasser previously sent a spy to steal Zain's bidding secrets. For now, though, Karam can't charge Nasser without proof. After 2 days in a coma, Zain finally wakes up. To everyone's shock, the first person he asks for is Sarah. His mother is vivid. Almost losing him makes Sarah face the truth. She loves him. No longer hiding her feelings, she admits she's been terrified of parting from him and cares deeply for him. Meanwhile, Nasser tracks down the supplier's hideout. To clear his name, he calls Karam and shares the intel. Karam doesn't trust it. He knows a rival isn't being charitable, so Nasser invites him and the police to raid the warehouse. But when they burst in, the place is empty except for a note reading, "We're all victims." Nasser planned this. It turns out that the mole had called the supplier an hour earlier to inform him of his escape. The investigation hits a dead end. The failure to apprehend the supplier leaves Karam and Zain anxious, worried that he might hurt Sarah and her son. Zain instructs Karam to sneak them to a villa in the countryside. However, Sarah refuses and insists on staying with Zain to take care of him. Zain has no choice but to check out of the hospital early and take Sarah, her son, and the nanny with him to hide in the mountain house for a while to keep them safe. He tells Karam to keep their location secret, even from his mother, and leaves him in charge of the company. Ibrahim resists at first, unwilling to live in the home of the man who stole his mother. Zain doesn't give up. He works gradually to earn Ibrahim's trust through small, meaningful gestures. It starts with Zayn sharing his childhood toys. Eventually, they both open up about losing their fathers. Over several days of quiet bonding, Ibrahim's coldness towards Zayn begins to soften, watching Ibrahim run happily in the garden. Zayn feels as if he's looking at his own childhood. To others, his injury might seem like a tragedy, but to Zayn, it's brought a life he's always dreamed of, spending every day with the woman he loves, a child's laughter filling the air. This happiness can't be measured by money. Relaxed for the first time, he opens up to Sarah about his childhood. His father once filled this very place with beautiful memories. He knows how important a father is to a child. At the same time, he admires Ibrahim for having a mother like Sarah, one who listens and supports. Unlike him, he has always been under his mother's control, only able to numb himself with work. Only now does Sarah realize that this man who seems so strong on the surface has a vulnerable heart. Thankfully, Sarah's love, both maternal and romantic, has become the harbor where Zayn's wounded soul finds peace. But how could a control-freak mother ever leave them alone? Samaya calls her son, demanding to know his whereabouts. Zayn refuses to say, fearing it could put them in danger, and only tells her he's staying with Sarah's family, urging her to rest assured. Samaya is going crazy. Ever since Sarah came into the picture, Zayn has disobeyed her and slipped out of her control. Her hostility and jealousy towards Sarah grow by the day. She phones Zayn's driver, ordering him to take her to see her son. The driver, tied up at the police station, assisting with Zayn's shooting investigation, gives the address to another driver instead. Unbeknownst to them, this decision puts Zayn in danger once more because the replacement driver is a mole planted by the supplier. When Zayn sees his mother arrive, he's overwhelmed with exasperation. Every additional person who knows their location increases the risk. But Samaya couldn't care less. She weeps, claiming she's worried about him and just wants to be near her son. Soon her condescending nature begins to torment everyone. She treats Ibrahim's nanny like a servant, making unreasonable demands, even forbidding her from eating at the same table. Watching Ibrahim feed himself, she scolds the nanny for poor care. Ibrahim retorts that he's old enough to eat alone. Sarah explains she teaches her son to do what he can, without relying on others. But Samaya turns to mock Sarah instead. When Z criticizes her, she feigns pity, wailing about her wretched fate, how his late father had cheated on her in this very house. Zayn's heart hardens as he accuses his mother of resenting his happiness, unable to stand seeing him build a life she never had. In the days that follow, everyone acts as if Samaya doesn't exist. They let her complain and nitpick but simply ignore her. After all, if you can't beat her, avoid her. Watching the two adults grow closer despite her efforts, Samaya is raging and turns her focus to provoking the child. She deliberately tells Ibrahim, "Your mom is about to marry Zayn. You'll have a new dad soon." Ibrahim recoils in horror and storms up to Zayn, shouting that he's not his father. Zayn instantly realizes his mother is behind the turmoil and snaps at her for hurting the boy. That child had a father of his own. You have no right to make anyone take his place. Even if we are not blood-related, I'll protect and care for him forever. But Samaya refuses to admit her fault, fake sympathizing that she's just trying to help Ibrahim bond with Zayn. When she remains unrepentant, Zayn reaches his breaking point. He dials Karam and asks for help. After all, Karam's mother is Samaya's friend. That afternoon, Kama's mother arrives at the countryside villa. Sensitive to their struggles, she personally intervenes to take Zayn's mother away from the group. Zayn apologizes to Sarah and the nanny, insisting he never wanted to hurt Ibrahim or replace his father. The nanny reassures him not to worry. That boy is young and will forget the unpleasantness in time. Sarah sees how deeply he respects and cherishes her son. She makes it clear the incident wasn't his fault, helping him start to break free from his mother's toxic shadow. Zayn loves her more than he ever thought possible, as if she's the sun and he's a planet spinning helplessly in her orbit. He vows he'll never let anyone harm her or her child. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm hastening to write and edit the next recap. Part 4 will follow.